Okay. Now today we are going to discuss about extreme programming XP, which is also called as XP, which is which is one of the framework, we can say, methodology which implement the agile, right? And what is agile? That we know agile, uh, four manifesto, right? And the 12 principles. Uh, so these are the various methodology framework, like one is Scrum, another is Kanban, and the third we are going to discuss is extreme programming. So you need to keep in mind it's implement agile. So an agile development methodology XP is a lightweight methodology for small to medium sized teams developing software in the face of vague or rapidly changing environment, vague or rapidly changing requirements. So one student has raised a question that why it is called as a lightweight methodology. Like Scrum, also we discussed that it is a lightweight methodology because uh, they are not XP and the Scrum, they are not 100% like all the 12 principles and core manifesto they are justifying with their framework, but some major functionalities of agile philosophy, agile, they are trying to implement with their framework. So that's why it is called as a lightweight methodology. So when you one may think of adopting this XP when the you are having the team of medium size, right, small to medium size, and the situation where the requirements are unclear at the beginning and it is rapidly changing, right? In that environment one may think of uh, adopting extreme programming. It works by bringing the whole team together in the presence of simple practices with enough feedback to enable the team to see where they are and to tune the practices to their unique situation. Okay. So यहाँ पे like there will be not like in Scrum we have discussed that there is like roles are there. So यहाँ पे there are no roles here. The team will be whole and the practices are there, right? And every time this we are asking the team to share their feedback to get tuned with each other, because as a team you are going to work on the complete development and you are responsible for that particular project. So now we are going to see what are those practices and the values of extreme programming, how it worked. Created by Ken Bake in mid 90s, a set of 12 key practices taken to their extremes. Okay, so that 12 key practices we are going to discuss. A mindset for developers and the customers. Okay, yeah, we are giving just we are trying to understand XP programming, try to understand the mindset of developer and the customer, because these are the two major stakeholder of your particular project, right? Then next is extreme programming. Hence XP is lightweight agile process. Instead of lot of documentation nailing down what customer want upfront, XP emphasizes plenty of feedback. Okay, we will not like waterfall we have discussed, like we have to maintain lot of documentation. SRS, software requirement document, we are going to prepare, and it's just a document, right? And lot of time we are investing on the same, but XP, what XP emphasizes is feedback. Okay, like we will involve all the time, we will involve the customer or the team members to give real time feedback instead of just reading out document and then giving the suggestion, right? Embrace change, iterate often, design and redesign, code and test frequently, keep the customer involved. So that is something which is unique with the XP, that customer involvement is more, right? Right, iterate often. It is very similar to your Scrum, like iterate, it is iterative in the fashion, and design redesign code and test frequently. ये चीजें जो है सॉफ्टवेयर डेवलपमेंट लाइफ साइकिल की फ्रेमवर्क एक्टिविटी, ये ऑफन होता है यहाँ पे। एक डिजाइन के बाद we are not saying that we will not redesign. If any changes is required asked by the customer, we are open to redesign our design. Okay, we will not say we have done with the design and we can't just redesign it. Yes, It's possible, right? And customer test frequently. Every time we are just keep on testing, because testing is something which ensure your customer value, whether customer and the accuracy, we can say quality of your product. So यहाँ पे this XP focuses on this particular things. Deliver software to customer in short iteration, right? In 2 weeks maybe. Like in waterfall you can imagine, right? In waterfall the customer have to wait until complete software development happens, but here the you have to give something to the customer in the iterative manner, right? First iteration, after first iteration the customer will have something in their hand to see, to give feedback. So 2 weeks was the iteration period. Eliminate defect early, thus reducing the cost. Okay, very similar to, you can find the similarity of this extreme programming with the Scrum. Yes. So whenever you are doing an iterating manner, definitely defect will get detected early, right? You will come to know what are the flaws in your system. Maybe customer will tell you, maybe in the reviews you will come to know these are the flaws in our system and that we need to eliminate in the next cycle, and which will definitely will leads to the reducing cost. So you can see the diagram, extreme programming project, right? So यहाँ पे again user stories are there, right? What is user stories? Which are nothing but requirements. Then release planning we have to do, right? Release planning is something like what we are going to release. Input is you are having number of stories, number of requirements to get implemented. Release planning is something which you are giving to the customer, right? So release planning will happen, and that plan is given to the iteration, right? So iteration is something where it is very similar to your sprint. Okay, so यहाँ पे iteration होगा, right? Iteration में that story will get implemented, whichever are there into release planning, and the same will get acceptance test will be there. It will be like, it's not directly hand over to the customer, but it, we will be asking the customer to see whether it is in the acceptable condition or not. And once acceptance test is done, if we receive the customer approval, then it is called as a small release, right? And then acceptance test is there, then the next iteration we starting with, right? So these are the things, a few things you will not, like if bugs are there, again we have to uh, come back to the on the iteration phase. Then iteration phase will maybe like uh, give back to it to the release planning process. And then uh, like some spike may get created, like uncertain estimate, confident estimates. Okay, uncertain estimate is something like before planning you didn't thought of the that, because कैसे हो सकता है, like you never know, you are sitting for the planning और बाद में क्या change होने वाला, you know, never know what changes will happen in the technology, right? If you are going to develop any application, so and very soon the operating system is getting changed, new operating system is getting launched, so that is something called as a spike. Okay, and that will disturb your estimation, like that changes will maybe asked by the customer, and you have to change your architecture, and it will change your estimates. Okay, so that is called as a spikes. Don't bother about this much, you are not having in detail this particular thing, but try to understand XP, how XP work. Okay, XP emphasizes iteration. Iteration पे ये believe करता है, you can see release plan, नेक्स्ट इटरेशन वर्क्स. ओके, ये सारा इनपुट किसके पास आएगा, इटरेशन प्लानिंग के पास. देन इटरेशन प्लान विल गो टू द डेवलपमेंट. डेवलपमेंट विल ट्राई टू क्रिएट द लाइक whatever stories are there. Release plan में जो भी था, right, user stories. Development will, in development phase we will try to develop that, right? जो भी development like stage में whatever are unfinished task, we will be giving that to the iteration planning as well. Then iteration plan will get updated. And once the development is done, the new functionalities are added, then we are releasing as the latest version, right? And at the same time, if bugs are there, we are trying to fix that bugs as well in the latest version, right? And latest version is something which is like day by day, right? So that way XP, like it iteration emphasizes on the iteration. Then XP emphasizes on communication, right? So here again stand up meetings are there, which is very similar to your daily scrum meeting. Okay, whenever your team is on their XP, right, every day they will be having a stand up meeting. So they will discuss in stand up meeting, they will discuss about unfinished task day by day, right? Fail acceptance days, like uh, they will check with the customer or the other stakeholder for the acceptance, and that issues they are going to discuss in the stand up meeting. Iteration plan, they will discuss like what are the things are remaining, right? Or what things we have done, and next task or fail acceptance test. स्टैंड अप मीटिंग के बाद क्या होगा कि अभी आगे जाके क्या करना है, एंड द लास्ट task was fail in the acceptance test, right? So collective code ownership, then all together we will try to like learn and communicate, right? So they will try to learn something to complete that fail uh, failed task, and then they will have the communication, right? They will have the and collective code ownership, they will try to clear out that particular stories, that particular features, and then the works will get fixes, the acceptance test will pass, and then that will declare as the new functionalities. And when it's a collective code ownership, like we need to have the learn and communicate. So pair programming, refactoring, okay, ये कुछ चीजें हैं that we are going to see in detail. Okay, so let's talk about 4 core values of XP. तो ये core values है: communication, simplicity, feedback and courage. These are the 4 values of XP. ये बहुत important है. Communication, यहाँ पे you can see, जहाँ पे you can imagine in the scrum the communication is there, collaborative efforts we have observed, but still you can imagine product owner is giving thought of writing a story alone, right? And prioritizing, deciding prioritize of the user story alone, right? But in XP it's not, various roles are not there. So the stress is given, the importance is given to the communication. All the team, whoever is involved in the development of that particular product project, are involved in deciding various features. So they together communicate and decide whatever are the stories we need to create to complete this project and the priorities. So roles are nothing that simplicity, they try to make it very simple, right? You can observe the simplicity in overall XP. And the feedback all the time, right? Like 2 weeks of iteration one has to plan. So after 2 weeks customer have to give the feedback about like whether they are satisfied, not satisfied, what changes they want. So that is something which is very like the XP's values are. And the courage, right? Courage is something like they are always courageous. Why it is called as courageous? Because they are open to accept the changes, they will not deny, right? um, Again I will tell you why this courage is so important, right? If you know that कि आपने कौन सा भी सॉफ्टवेयर डेवलप किया है, एक गेम एंड्रॉइड का कुछ डेवलप किया आपने, गेम यू हैव डेवलप, बट वेरी सून आप जिस कॉन्फ़िगरेशन के साथ जितना मेमोरी लगता था, जितना स्पीड लगता था, जीपीयू वगैरह क्या आपका रहता है, very soon it is getting upgraded, and you are in the phase of development, and you know that very soon Nvidia is coming with new cards, right? Graphics card, and you are just building your software with the existing configuration. So if you are in the development, what you have to do, okay, you should just not neglect the thing. If customer is coming to you and he is telling the fact and asking you ki you need to do the development with the upgraded graphics card, so you have to be a courageous. You just can't deny ki if you are there in the waterfall, so you may deny the things like, sir, please excuse us because we did the plan, our design is ready and we are about to finish the project. It is really difficult for us to make the changes, and maybe in the next, like if you ask us to again restart with the development, then probably we will able to make it possible for you. But the XP, the agile will never deny you, because never compromise with the quality. If customer is coming to you and asking, giving you the facts and asking you to make the changes, these teams are very courageous. This framework are courageous to accept the changes. They will not bother about it. Like they will never compromise with the quality. And trust me, quality is something which will leads to the brand, right? You can imagine with the real time, if if one builder, renowned builder, is developing, is in the construction phase, and he know that कि ये material के साथ we will not have uh, the क्या बोलते हैं strong, मजबूत घर नहीं हो सकता, right? So he will definitely, he will avoid to use that materials for construction, because if, and to just save a cost or to save efforts, okay, he should not, like, one may will not thought of using the shortcut or using the very we can say, और shortcut in the sense, कभी कभी क्या होता है, like customer demanded, we wanted very like जल्दी चाहिए, we wanted early. So builder may think of कि we will compromise with the quality, right? Fast में बना के देना है तो कुछ भी बना के देंगे, but what will happen if after few years, if that product is getting damaged, okay, something happens, so ultimately the builder's image will uh, get what we can say, it will be खराब हो जाएगा, right? So that we don't want, we, that factor also we have to think in the software industry. So आपको पता है, so you should open to that changes, okay, you know, अगर ये इससे क्या होगा, our brand will get created. So you have to be very courageous to accept the changes, and that is all about the agile. So you need to remember, communication, simplicity, feedback, and courage are the core value of XP, and these are the XP practices. Okay, the planning game, small release, metaphor, simple design, testing, refactoring, pair programming, collective ownership, continuous integration, 40 hours work week, on-site customer coding standards. These are the XP practices. Okay. Now we are going to see this in detail. Matlab, it's all towards the software development. We are talking about, if you as a software industrialist, if you are thinking to use this XP for your software development, so how it will work, that we are going to see. What are their practices? What are their values, right? So these are the things. So we will talk one by one. The planning game. Planning for a upcoming iteration. User stories provided by the customer. Technical person determines schedules, estimates, costs, etc. A result of collaboration between the customer and the developer, right? So planning is a game, right? Every time after every iteration, we are playing it. So planning is done for the upcoming iteration. जितने iteration आएंगे उसके लिए planning. Because user story, who will tell the user story? Of course, customer. And schedule कौन बनाएगा? Like this, we will finish out the story in how much duration will decided by the technical person, and estimate and the cost, etc. And result of collaboration between customer and developer, right? So yeah, it's work, right? Definitely it work. It's a wonderful concept, right? Customer will tell you the stories, and you will work on the same, you will try to complete it and deliver that, then you will plan for the next iteration. Advantages: reduction in time wasted on unless features, right? तो जो कस्टमर ने, you will be very focused work, you will be doing very focused work, because जो जितना कस्टमर बोलेगा उतना ही आप लोग करोगे, nothing extra you will ये greater customer appreciation of the cost of failure, sorry, cost of feature, okay. Because real time feedback, every time you are involving the customer, so 2 week के बाद ही customer will appreciate you, and as in waterfall you have to wait to have the customer appreciation after complete software is getting developed. लेस गेस वर्क इन द प्लानिंग, तो प्लानिंग में बहुत दिमाग पे स्ट्रेस नहीं देना पड़ेगा, नीड नॉट टू थिंक अ लॉट कि कैसे करे क्या करे, शॉर्ट ड्यूरेशन आपको करना है, राइट. Disadvantages: customer availability, every time there might be it's not possible for the customer to present, so it is very like it can be a disadvantage. Is planning is often necessary, like the question is कि planning बार बार क्यों करे, right? So these are the disadvantages. Small releases, okay, so ये iteration, right? Small in terms of functionalities, right? We will not think complete software नहीं release करेंगे एक साथ, so उसको break down करेंगे small release में, and that is called as a iteration. Less functionalities means release happens more frequently, right? More frequently वो release happen होता है. Support the planning game, और ये support planning game. Advantages क्या होगा small releases का? So frequent feedback मिलेगा, tracking होगा आपको whether we are on the right track, customer is satisfying or not, whether it's bringing to the value of our project or not. Then reduce chance of overall project slippage, okay. तो आपको टेंशन नहीं आएगा कि पूरा प्रोजेक्ट तो ये नहीं हो जाएगा, स्लिप नहीं हो जाएगा, राइट. स्मॉल रिलीज से आपको ये फायदा रहेगा. डिसएडवांटेजेस क्या है? नॉट इजी फॉर ऑल प्रोजेक्ट, सो ये इतना इजी नहीं है, नॉट नीडेड फॉर ऑल प्रोजेक्ट, एंड वर्जनिंग इश्यू रहता है फिर, राइट. मेटाफोर: the oral architecture of the system, a common set of terminology, right? So the oral architecture तो कैसा होगा, क्या होगा, metaphor you are going to decide, and a common set of terminology. And advantages क्या है? Encourages a common set of terms for the system, reduction of buzzwords and jargon, a quick and easy way to explain the system, right? Metaphor कैसे होगा आपके system का? Disadvantages: often the metaphor is the system, okay. Metaphor ही आपका system बन जाता है, it should not be the case. Another opportunity for miscommunication, right? The system is often not well understood as a metaphor, right? तो आप मतलब जो भी आप रिलीज प्लान करोगे, so you will be putting that on a metaphor, and कभी कभी वो मिसकम्युनिकेशन हो सकता है. बट मेटाफोर से क्या होगा? बजवर्ड एंड जार्गन का रिडक्शन होगा, एंड कॉमन सेट ऑफ टर्म्स ऑफ सिस्टम्स ये सबको पता चल जाएंगे, एंड इजी एंड क्विक वे ऑफ द ये explanation. Then the next principle is simple design. KISS, keep it simple, stupid, right? This is again, you will observe this in the user interface design, golden rules of user interface design. Keep it simple, stupid, okay? हमें बहुत fancy नहीं करना है. We have to make it simple. Do as little as needed, nothing more. जितना necessary उतना करो, बाकी का छोड़ दो, right? Advantages: time is not wasted adding superfluous functionalities, easier to understand what is going on, refactoring and collective ownership is made possible, helps keeps programmer on track. Disadvantages: kabhi kabhar we are very much get confused with the words of simple. Simplicity matlab kya? Simple dikhna matlab kya, right? Simple isn't always based, okay, and sometimes it's not always based, so that is the disadvantages we can think about. So यहाँ पे कीप इट सिंपल डिजाइन इज क्या कि दूसरा ज्यादा कुछ नहीं सोचेंगे, कस्टमर ने अभी बोला कैसे चाहिए उसके हिसाब से सिंपल डिजाइन करके कर लेंगे, राइट. सो टेस्टिंग, ओके, देन कम्स टेस्टिंग. डिजाइन हो गया, टेस्टिंग, यूनिट टेस्टिंग, टेस्ट फर्स्ट डिजाइन, ऑल ऑटोमेटेड, राइट. जो भी करोगे लाइक इट इज वेरी pretty much important that everything needs to get tested, right? जितना किया उतना test again. um, Unit testing is something कि आप क्या करोगे, you will not test the complete software at once, okay? उसको break down करोगे smaller portion में, and then every smaller portion you test first, and then उसका अगर result सही आता है, then together integrating all smaller portion together you will start with the integration testing, okay? So unit testing is always like best, okay? Small unit आपके जैसे जैसे हो गए, if you try to test it and keep it as it aside as a error free wala component, and at the end you will just integrate that all part together to hand over to the customer as the end product. So that way unit testing, the extreme programming uses unit testing. Test first design, तो हमें क्या करना है first, instead of just jumping on testing the code, we will test the design as well, and all are automated. Automated in the sense, when you are saying automated, okay, कि a lot of automation will be there, no need to write manual codings, okay, that will save your time. So advantages क्या है? Unit testing promote testing completeness. Test first gives developers a goal. Automation gives a suite of regression testing. ठीक है? So these are all advantages, but disadvantages क्या है? Automated unit testing isn't for everything. Reliance on unit testing isn't a good idea. A test result is not only as good as the test itself, right? So कभी-कभी unit testing, like, it's not everything, right? And उसके ऊपर rely करना, it's not a good idea. So पूरा सॉफ्टवेयर को कंबाइन करने के बाद, स्मॉलर पोर्शन को कंबाइन करने के बाद भी एक बार टेस्ट करना चाहिए. Refactoring, right? Refactoring is something changing how the system does something, but not what is done, right? Improve the quality of system in some way. Refactoring मतलब क्या करना है? Changing how the system does something, but not what is done, right? सिस्टम अभी क्या कर रहा है, उसको चेंज करना, क्या किया है उसको नहीं चेंज करना है. लाइक whenever you are going to develop something, तो you are having कि ये सिस्टम के साथ क्या होना चाहिए, तो सिस्टम ने वो कैसे किया वो चेंज करोगे, क्या किया वो चेंज नहीं करना, क्या किया वो दैट इज कांस्टेंट, क्या करना है दैट इज कांस्टेंट. इफ योर सिस्टम इज अबाउट फाइनेंशियल पेमेंट, राइट, गूगल पे, फोन पे जैसे सॉफ्टवेयर है, सो इट्स ऑल अबाउट क्या करना है इज अ कांस्टेंट, की फाइनेंशियल ट्रांजैक्शन होना चाहिए, बट कैसे करना है दैट इज कॉल्ड एज अ रिफैक्टोरिंग. एंड व्हाई यू आर डूइंग दैट, हाउ the system does it, because when you are changing something in how it is because you want to improve the quality, you want to speed up the development process, any reason may be there, right? So it leads to refactoring, definitely leads to improve the quality of the system in some way. So advantages kya hai? Prompts developer to proactively improve the product as a whole, increase developer knowledge of the system, right? Refactoring is something, why we have to do refactoring? When you are doing something like some codes, if you are writing, right, so if why you will do refactoring? If you are having output at your end, output आ गया आपके पास, but if I ask you to refactor it, what you will do? You will not, your output will not change because it is a correct one. What things you will change? Because if your program, like your program takes lot of time to get execute, or it takes lot of space in your memory, so you will try to optimize that, right? उसका output same रहेगा, what it is doing is same. Refactoring you will doing in the programming to say make it more efficient, make it more accurate, make it less cost effective, make it less memory effective, okay, make it less like more speedy one. So that's why refactoring, the people are doing refactoring. So refactoring is one of the scrum value, so it will bring the quality in some way, right? And disadvantages kya? Definitely not everyone is capable of refactoring. Refactoring may not always be appropriate always nahi ho sakta. Would upfront design eliminate refactoring? Okay, so pair programming, the next XP value is pair programming. So two developer, one monitor, one keyboard, one drives and other things, switch role as needed. So if you remember, pair programming is proven, we can say practice. These are the XP practices. You can observe the pair programming in other profession as well. Like you can see, if you are watching the news, okay, always there are two reporters, right, on the screen. Many times, right, two reporters are there. Why it is so? Again, you can observe when in operation theaters, right, uh, never one single doctor will be there, the pair of doctors will be there, because uh, one is doing and one is observing, right, and if one is getting stuck, other will take lead, right, और टेस्ट हो जाता है, right, whether like when other is observing, तो previous वाला सही लिख रहा है नहीं लिख रहा है, that will get tested. That is the concept of pair programming. So यहाँ पे भी to develop flight में ये fighter jet में भी you can have, there is two are sitting together. So ये pair programming is very proven concept. So यहाँ पे भी XP uses this pair programming, जहाँ पे एक like the two developers will be sharing the monitor, sharing the keyboard. एक लिख रहा रहता है and दूसरा ऑब्जर्व करता है whether he is writing correct or not. And एक का हो गया, एक का दिमाग थोड़ा हो गया, right, he has contributed, so other will take lead and then he will play the role of observer. तो इसके बहुत सारे फायदे हैं. So two heads are better than one. फोकस रहता है, राइट. वो अगर कुछ एक ही बंदा अगर प्रोग्राम करता है तो कहाँ पे वो स्लीप हो सकता है, राइट. ही कैन गेट स्लीप आउट, ही कैन गो आउट ऑफ द ट्रैक. बट पेयर प्रोग्रामिंग में देयर आर वेरी लिटिल चांसेस, वेरी फ्यू चांसेस, बिकॉज अगर ट्रैक से बाहर आप लोग जा रहे हो तो योर पेयर विल वेक अप यू आर नॉट ऑन द राइट ट्रैक, right. Two people are more likely to answer the following questions: is this whole approach going to work? ये काम करेगा? What are some test cases that may not work yet? Okay, is there a way to simplify this? ये हम लोग सोचते हैं, right, when we are doing it in the pair program. Disadvantages: many tasks really don't require two programmers, a hard sale to the customer. तो यू मे हैव द क्वेश्चन, पेयर प्रोग्रामिंग के साथ तो क्या होगा, खर्चा तो बढ़ जाएगा, राइट. तो कस्टमर एग्री नहीं हो सकता इसके लिए, दैट इज द डिसएडवांटेज. कलेक्टिव ओनरशिप, राइट, द आइडिया दैट ऑल डेवलपर ओन्स ऑल ऑफ द कोड, राइट. यहाँ पे कुछ लीडर विडर कुछ नहीं है. यस,
वो पहले वो पेयर प्रोग्रामिंग का लास्ट डिसएडवांटेज था ना, हार्ड टू सेल टू कस्टमर, एक बार एक्सप्लेन कर दो.
यस, देखो, द कॉस्ट ऑफ द product is like the it's related to the customer pocket, right. And if you are saying we are the using the pair programming, like one task is like on particular task the two programmers are working, so definitely you will require many employees to work on that project, and it will it will increase your overall cost associated with that project. Quality improve हो जाएंगी, but at the same time cost will also get increased. And then to convince the customer कि we want to, for development we want to use this extreme programming and pair programming, it is very hard to sell to the customer. Are you getting?
Yes ma'am.
Collective ownership, right. So यहाँ पे you can see collective ownership is something in Scrum you can observe वहाँ पे क्या है, like the team leader is there, the Scrum master is there, Scrum team is there. So everyone is having their own roles and responsibility, and उनको पता है what is my, if something is happen miss out in the product owner, Scrum team is not like they will not take that on the shoulder. If some stories from the product owner is not putted into the product backlog, it's miss out. So इसमें Scrum team का कोई गलती नहीं है, right. They will not take that that problem on their shoulders. It's of product owner's fault, right? So, but here collective ownership is there. Nothing, roles are not there, so everyone is responsible for all the things, right? The idea that all developer own all of the code, सबको सब कुछ करना है, and responsibility, collective ownership is there, enables refactoring. So इससे क्या होगा? तो refactoring, you will give thought of refactoring. Refactoring से क्या होता है? You will refactor your code again to make it optimized to bring the quality. Advantage, helps mitigate the loss of team members leaving, right? तो ये promotes developer to take responsibility for the system as a whole rather than parts of the system. So यहाँ पे क्या होता है, like in case of Scrum, if product owner is leaving the organization in between, so it is very difficult to then mitigate that loss. But collective ownership mein it's not very big problem, right? Promotes developer to take responsibilities for the system as a whole rather than parts of the system. So सबको responsibility लेना है, right? ownership भी है, responsibility भी है. Disadvantage, loss of accountability. तो ये हो जाता है अपने आप से कि accountability something is the question. Limitation to how much of large system than individual can practically own, right? तो ये इंडिविजुअल, लाइक जब ग्रुप में करते हैं तो बहुत सारे प्रॉब्लम्स होते हैं. कंटिन्यूअस इंटीग्रेशन, नेक्स्ट इज कंटिन्यूअस इंटीग्रेशन. So new features and changes are worked into the system immediately. Code is not work on without being integrated for more than a day. uh, okay. So we will stop here. Like the last one we have. So these are the four core values of XP we have discussed. XP practices. So planning game we have discussed. Small release, metaphor, simple design, testing, refactoring, pair programming, collective ownership, and up to this we have discussed continuous integration, 40 hours worksheet, on-site customer coding standard. We will discuss in further lecture. So,